Strictly Sports. I'm Jacob Brown, joined here with Mark Papaleo. It's NFL season, baby. We got football. It's on the way. But first, I would like to acknowledge something. Listen, we do another podcast, me and Mark, we do it together. It's called Strictly Yankees. We haven't done one in a while. Listen, the Yankees have been good. We always said we didn't do them before because, if the Yankees didn't do so well, we weren't in the mood. And, well, I mean, mainly it's been me dodging the fact that I've been completely wrong about the Yankees for about 2 months. They have completely gone against what I was saying for the first 3 months. They've been playing very well. They're on an 11-game winning streak right now. But this isn't a baseball pod, but I did want to acknowledge that, yes, I'm not like Colin Cowherd. I will acknowledge when I'm wrong. The Yankees, they're not back because they still have to win in the playoffs. I'm not budging on that. You got to win and back it up in the playoffs. That's always been the problem. But regular season, they do look like a different team. So, Mark, what do you think about that?
They are astounding. I recently got engaged. I don't know if you knew.
Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. Since then, and then Anthony Rizzo was traded to the Yankees like 2 minutes later, and since then they are 19-4. Hey, I might have given that spark they needed. I might have given it to them. I don't know.
No, it's definitely you, Mark.
They saw the ring and they're like, that's one of those,
Exactly. Yeah, they're ring chasers, man. We got to get it.
But yeah, they've been playing great baseball as of late. On obviously an 11-game win streak, but I'm excited. They got to keep it going. If the playoffs started today, we'd have Boston in the wild card game in the Bronx. So we kind of would love to get away from that, but you gotta win in October. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and they got those final 3 games of the season against the Rays. So if they're within 3 games, you could force a tiebreaker scenario, whatever. Get at least to there. That's their goal. So yeah, let's talk about the NFL though. We've had 2 weeks of games in the preseason. I haven't watched at all. I mean, I never really do. I'm not that type of football. Like preseason, I'm just checked out. There's no starters most of the time. Now, what I do watch the QB highlights. I go back, I watch all the rookies. I like to see how they do. So I've been watching all 5 of those rookie quarterbacks, plus Jordan Love. I kind of consider him a rookie still too, because he didn't play last year. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at his game tape, and those guys, listen, I don't like to overreact in preseason. Nobody does. But you got to say they have looked good for what for what they've been given in the preseason. And I look at a guy like Mac Jones, a guy who, when he was picked, I said, oh, well, that's a New England pick because he's part of that system. But I would have hated if he went number 3 to San Francisco. He didn't fit to me. So when I saw Mac Jones in those clips, basically doing the Tom Brady, step back twice, 4-yard pass over and over and over again, it's like, wait a second here. Can Mac Jones really be that type of replacement as a system quarterback? Because in New England, that's what they do. That's what they've been built on for 2 decades. That's what Bill Belichick does. So while Mac Jones might not be great himself in terms of, oh my God, we've never seen somebody like this before, he knows what to do. He's good at checkdowns. He's a system quarterback. He's got a high IQ. He knows what he's doing. And now he's been coached by arguably 2 of the best ever. So you've got a guy in Mac who goes from here to me to a little bit higher. And okay, maybe there's something here. And then I look at a Trey Lance, looks a lot like Patrick Mahomes in some of these plays. I'm not saying he is Patrick Mahomes, but he can run and he can throw far and he can throw fast. And that's what I like to see. And he's a big guy. And then, Justin Fields, he's been up and down for me in preseason. He was the guy that I liked the most in terms of where he went, not in terms of he's the best quarterback, but best quarterback placement for me was Justin Fields. And then Trevor, everybody likes Trevor. And then Zach Wilson. Yeah. I'm on the fence with him. I'm going to wait till the regular season. But I do like what he brings to the table. So in terms of what you've seen from these rookie quarterbacks, what have you liked so far?
Well, they've all looked really good, and for the first couple of games of the NFL, getting used to that NFL game speed. We saw Justin Fields comment on it in his first game. He was like, "Oh, it was a little like slower than I anticipated," and then the next game he got a helmet hit, and his helmet knocked off. So
yeah, welcome to the NFL.
It's definitely a getting comfortable period for them, and it's preseason. They're not offensive coordinators aren't, putting in their real game plans for preseason. They're gonna make these guys look good. They're gonna make easy passes, make easy reads. That's what the preseason is designed for, to see if you can figure that stuff kind of out. So I feel with all these rookie quarterbacks, I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing is the dink and dunks, the easy wide open guys. We've seen Trevor Lawrence recently not be like he had a problem against the Saints. He couldn't throw his receivers open, and his receivers aren't getting open. So you gotta, it's about those tight windows. And we saw players like Tua Tagovailoa with the Dolphins have to get used to that, not throwing to wide open players like you're used to at Alabama when you have Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, so on and so forth. But you touched on Justin Fields, how you feel like he was the best. He's in the best for where he is, and I agree with you. But I think I'd have to go with Trey Lance. Has to be in the best situation only because he's going to a Super Bowl roster. He's going to a Super Bowl head coach. That team is already built around him. He has one the best tight end in football in Kittle. He has great speed receivers, a good running game, a solid offensive line, and his defense is stellar. Any team you have Nick Bosa on, it's going to be great. And they just signed their linebacker to a huge deal.
Yes,
The Niners,
yes. Name is escaping me, but they did lock him up.
Fred something, yeah. Fred Warner.
Yes.
They locked him up. And I love Justin Fields in Chicago, but I feel like he has some things to overcome there. Can Matt Nagy coach this kind of a quarterback, and is he able to will Matt Nagy even put him on the field week 1? We see he's starting this week in week 3 of the preseason, but that could just be week 3 of preseason. So we don't know. But Justin Fields, he hasn't have that many weapons. He has Allen Robinson, and he has an all right run game when Dave Montgomery, when they're able to run that football. But it all depends on the coaching and if they give that kid a shot. Because Justin Fields, he looks ready to go. I mean, why not? He looks better than Andy Dalton. He's better than Andy Dalton.
So, yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a Tua situation there where they're gonna try to sit him behind their vet for a little bit. And when he looks like he needs to start, you give him the reins, which I think will be soon because the Bears probably start off slow.
Yeah, and the good thing for them is that who's second place in that division? Nobody's locking up a second place spot. Detroit's out of it. We know that. But Minnesota, they're going to be neck and neck with Chicago for that second place. So it's about what mindset do they believe. It's similar to San Francisco right now. It's okay, if we're really going for it, do we want to go for it with Andy to be safe so that we know we have a guy who knows what he's doing? And then week 5, week 6, when Justin knows the playbook, then we put him in there. That's what a lot of these teams seem to do. They like that 5-6 week period of time. Or do they just say, fuck it, if we're going to make it, let's go balls deep with our quarterback, right? I mean, let's just do that. So I feel like that's something that could happen. And then you look at San Francisco and I say, well, the situation's different with them because you have a guy in Jimmy Garoppolo who A, is getting paid a lot of money, B, who's made it to the Super Bowl, but he's also not good anymore. So you have a situation with him where it's like, well, we kind of need to hold on to him to see if he has anything left in the tank because you want to up that trade value, right? And so when I look at this 49er schedule for Garoppolo, as much as I like Trey Lance, San Francisco needs to play the long game here and say, we need to get the most out of Jimmy and for trade value. So you look at San Francisco's schedule, they get Detroit, Philadelphia, Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona, Indy, Chicago, first 7 weeks, and then they get the Rams in 8. I would give Jimmy definitely the first 6 weeks, probably the first 8, because I would want to see, okay, if he beats the Rams, then we should probably keep him. So I would keep him through 8 weeks. If he's shot, if he doesn't look like the guy, if they're 4-4, then Trey can come in. Yeah. But if you go in those first 8, and let's say between Seattle,
if you win 6 games, you got to keep Jimmy G.
Right. And I think those are the 8 to try him out in because he gets to face Seattle and LA.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, always the plan for Trey Lance was to, it was the long game with him because you have a starter in Jimmy G who is coming off of a bad season, but he just took you a Super Bowl year prior. And you're paying him a lot of money. So you have to really, check him at the door. So you're going to these 8 games and you're going to see what he's got. And I know Jimmy G's a good quarterback. He's competent, and it's really going to come down to his confidence because there's a quarterback drafted that's basically your replacement in the first round, and you have to go through camp with all those questions after you just escaped Tom Brady, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's really his confidence. If he keeps his head up and he goes out there and he wins that job for the next first 8 weeks, that's his. But I think the Niners looked at it as in, you know, the way to win Super Bowls and to get there repetitively is to not be paying a quarterback all this money so you
Yeah.
can build around him. So you could build the
Yeah.
offensive line, a pass rush, give him weapons. So I think they see their window with Jimmy G as in this year, and then they're able to get rid of him after this offseason and not lose much money. So I think it always was that because they're gonna have to pay people like they're paying Kittle. They just paid Fred Warner. They're gonna have to pay Mike McGlinchey in that offensive line. And they're gonna have to get a good number one receiver in there because they don't really have that. They have good young talent. They don't have that number one guy. And I
Yep.
feel like with Trey Lance, he gives you that flexibility wise to go make those moves and to, really dominate here for the next, 10 years without having to pay top dollar to an immobile quarterback, which is where the game is going.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, Jimmy G's in a very Alex Smith scenario, like where he was in Kansas City when Mahomes was just sitting there for a year. It's the same thing here. And with the Chiefs that year, it's like everybody knew Mahomes was coming.
Yeah.
But Alex Smith won that job. He led them to the playoffs. They lost, but they still went to the playoffs. And I think San Francisco, that's their goal this year is to make it. And their division is the toughest as well. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
Do you really want to throw Trey Lance into that fire? So
No.
that's why it is smart to just keep Jimmy for now, even though, he's probably past his time there, obviously.
Yeah. You don't want to do what my Dolphins did in his first start, be against Aaron Donald. So
yeah. Not the smartest thing for Miami, but
hey, Dub, it's all that matters.
yes, sir.
Beat
Yes,
the
sir.
Rams.
Yeah, that was one of the best games of the year too. I remember that.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see? Or where do you think Jimmy Garoppolo would be traded to? Because I think there's a short list, and on mine it's Washington football team and Indianapolis.
I have Pittsburgh as another one. Not
Pittsburgh,
for now, but in the offseason.
next year.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. He's not getting traded now, but I would say maybe Indianapolis is a big thing because they're another team who has that, they have everything else but the quarterback solidified.
Right.
And it's Carson Wentz, and if Carson Wentz has this foot injury where they said he could be out 5 to whatever to the rest of the season, but what I've seen, he looks fine. He's there in training camp. He's still throwing the ball after the surgery, so he might be ready by week 3. I think. I don't think 1 or 2, but I think week 3. But if Carson Wentz isn't the answer there, you can go get Jimmy Garoppolo and cut Carson Wentz. See you later. I mean, it's 2 crazy contracts.
Yeah.
But see ya. Cut him.
Yeah, that's the thing that cripples
like
Indianapolis is the contract situation because they have to pay Wentz now.
Yeah.
They're in on that financially. So that makes it a lot harder to trade him. I mean, he's not tradable if he doesn't do well this year. So they're stuck. No. It really is a gamble for Indy. So you're right. They
would have to cut him, and they would probably get a lot of hit against the cap. So
yeah, not good. Not good. Especially but listen, they're that organization is smart. Chris Ballard, Frank Reich, those guys, not Frank Reich, but head coach.
Frank Reich.
Oh, it is Frank Reich. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you're right.
Reuniting. Yeah. No, yeah. So that they do a great job together running that franchise. And listen, I still think they're division favorites. A lot of people want to go with the Tennessee because of Julio Jones. He's one guy. I mean, they lost a ton on defense.
I'll tell you what, it's not because of Julio Jones. Their defense is terrible. But what that offense can do is be able to score points with them because Tannehill, everyone wants to get on him. Tannehill is a great, thrower of the football. He could sling that thing. He's not gonna, step up in the pocket and sling it because that was always his issue, was stepping up and making the big throws. But when you have an offense like that in AJ Brown, Julio, Derrick Henry is gonna run the ball on first and second down, and depending on the third, he might run on third. So I mean, until someone figures out a way to stop that offense, I think division again. I mean, but you can go with the Colts.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I say Colts is number one, they had the same record last year. So I feel like, if Carson Wentz really is an upgrade over Phillip Rivers, which if he's healthy, I think he has to be better than Phillip Rivers. does that make up for a game? But then you look at Tennessee, does Julio Jones give you another win? So they're pretty much the same. And I think they went 1-1 against each other.
Yeah.
So they do know how to, they're basically both a team and a thorn in each other's side. And with the way the division is, it's definitely going to be them two at the top. So if they go 1-1 against each other, it might not even be about which is the better team. It's how do they do against everyone else? Like let's say, Tennessee's lazy one day and they drop a game to Houston. And it's like, I think it's going to come down to stuff like that in terms of who plays better in their overall schedule. Cause I feel like they're going to split like they did last year against each other. That's the great thing about these two teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're so evenly to each other, but I think that's only because I think the Colts defense evens that out because their defense, their linebacker core is insane, and their whole front seven is very good. And then you have the Tennessee high-powered offense, but they don't have the defense. The Colts do have the offense. They have the offensive firepower when they are healthy.
Their O-line's top 5.
And now Quentin Nelson has the same foot injury as Carson Wentz, and he's out indefinitely. So we don't really know if that Colts offense can keep up because they're more of a run first. But again, it's hard to pick one of them. But me and my buddy made a $50 bet that he said the Jags will win more games than the Colts. This is pre Carson Wentz injury. And I said, give me that all day. So the Colts just went to the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Give me a break.
Yeah, stop that. Yeah.
But now, if God forbid injuries, I might be out $50.
Yeah. Still though, the Colts are winning more games than the Jags. I mean, I like the Jags. I like what they're doing. Great drafts last year, but give me a break, man. The Colts are still going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to do a quick rundown of that division since we're already 2 teams deep?
Yeah. Let's just do that for all the division. We'll do quick little talks about each team. So
we'll start with this one.
All right, we'll just get Houston
finish this division out.
Yeah. Let's get Houston out of the way.
What 3-8 or start the season?
Yeah, it's going to be.
If they win 3 games,
I think they might win 3 games all year. I mean, if Deshaun's not there, it's over. They might win 1 game.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's Tyrod Taylor,
I mean, if Deshaun's not there, they don't win any games. I don't think they win a game because their defense isn't competent, their offense isn't competent. Deshaun's really the only thing is in that shit. So if he's not, I think they go 0-17 this year, and I don't know what they're doing. Well, they might trade Deshaun if they have the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, they might trade, but how tradable? I mean, we don't have to get into that with everything that's going on with him, but he might not be tradable altogether because of what's going on with him. But
I think with these recent reports, the FBI is saying that he's being tampered, someone's fucking with him.
Hey, I'm not ruling it out. I mean, listen, until there's a verdict, I'm not saying anything.
Correct. Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
But and we could do that. I mean, the Jags have the best quarterback in the draft, Trevor Lawrence. They got good offensive weapons. They just lost Travis Etienne for the year, which is terrible.
Yeah,
terrible
big bummer
for that. Yeah, but luckily they have James Robinson, who happened to be one of the best running backs last year, at least fantasy wise. They're a competent team. They're still the 3rd team in that division right now. Give them a couple years. We'll see if Urban Meyer can coach at this level. We haven't seen him be able to coach this level so far in the preseason because they've looked terrible. But there's some growing pains.
Yeah, and I like I said earlier, I like the last 2 drafts for them, especially on defense. They've built that really well. This draft, obviously, Urban was involved, and he knows the college game really well. You'd have to safely assume that, hey, he's a good recruiter at Ohio State. He knows what he's fucking doing. He won at Florida. He won at Ohio State. I'm not saying that means he's going to win in the NFL. I'm just saying he knows personnel. He knows how to recruit. He knows who to draft as well. So I'm thinking that ideology will help him in the NFL. But like you said, Etienne, big bummer. Running game still will be pretty good if he repeats himself at running back. Marvin Jones at a receiver, which I like, but they also lost a receiver as well. So I like the Marvin Jones pick because he can be relied on for Trevor. He's a guy you look at where it's like, okay, I know if I throw the ball to Marvin Jones, he's my guy. He's going to catch the ball. At least he has that guy now. So for a rookie quarterback, that really helps. Marvin Jones, he's going to produce. But I'm with you. They're third place, but I like where they're headed developmentally. So which division do you want to do next?
We did AFC South, so we could do AFC West, AFC East, whichever you want.
Yeah, let's do the West. So I'll go with the Broncos. I believe they finished last year out of those four. I don't know what they're doing, really. I mean, they were in the Aaron Rodgers thing. That never happened. They in the draft. Oh, are they going to trade up? Are they going to do that? They didn't get anybody. They got Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't know what they're thinking. Drew Lock was supposed to be their guy 2 years ago. I guess 2 years they're done with him. 6'3", big arm. They're just like, nope, he's not going to work. We're going to bring in Teddy. And what is Teddy going to do? He's going to keep you stagnant. He's not. Now, I've had mixed opinions on Teddy because you look at his record as a quarterback and you're like, well, the guy wins. But it's, he was surrounded by good rosters. Correct. It's skewed. So he's good, but he's not going to help the Broncos. They're not going to be an 8, 9, 10 win team. Their defense is, listen, everyone's like, oh, shut down linebacking duo, Von Miller and Chubb. Have they ever played together at the same time? I mean, seriously, we've never seen them really be a good duo at the same time. So we need to see it actually take place. Their secondary, it's not the shutdown corners that they used to have. They don't have any of them. They're trying to rebuild it. They're just in a state of who are we? What are we doing? And I don't know what they're doing in Denver.
Yeah, I just saw today the names Teddy Bridgewater that started for week 1. I'm assuming you saw that too. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, Teddy Bridgewater, again, if you look at his record, he wins ball games. And there's something to that because not everyone wins ball games with good talent. And Teddy Bridgewater, he is a good quarterback for a team that's looking for it, but he's not it. He's a bridge quarterback. He's
right.
He's a better version of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he's less wild card. He makes the throws. He makes the throws. He makes good reads. He can hand the ball off well to Christian McCaffrey, as we saw. But again, like he's not a bad quarterback, but for the options, like for what their options were in Denver, it's pretty nuts that they didn't. I guess Aaron Rodgers was really a pipe dream.
Yeah,
because he wasn't going anywhere other than Green Bay this offseason. I said that when it was happening. But they could have got Lance. They could have traded up for Trey Lance, and he could have been the guy. You could have started him week 1 out there. But they have Drew Lock, and he's sitting there collecting dust now. But they're not even gonna give him a chance. But he looked good in the preseason. They both looked pretty good. So we'll see. They have a good front seven too there, and great offense. Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Sutton, right? And not Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton, yeah.
Cortland Sutton. They have a good receiving core, and they're gonna waste it on Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. But we'll see. Again, Teddy Bridgewater is not a terrible quarterback. He'll win you ball games. But when you're playing in division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr, even, you can't have the 4th best quarterback in the division and be good. So
yeah,
what they're doing there in Denver.
Yeah, and listen, I don't mean to flip flop on them either. I mean, last season I remember saying on the podcast, they were the most improved offseason team to me with what they did in the draft and free agency last year. And I'll make the point, they didn't get to see some of those things pan out last year because of injuries, because of COVID and all that. So they didn't, they had a great offseason, but half of it didn't even get to prove itself. So yes, the reason why I don't think they're going to go far, like you just said, 4th best quarterback in the division. It doesn't take away, though. Last year, they still had a really good offseason. They got Glasgow, the offensive lineman from Detroit. So they were making moves last year. They just didn't get to play with all the toys. So now they do, and we'll see what happens. So who knows? I mean, they're a team that they're not going to be bottom of the barrel. So they're going to be 500 or, whatever. What would it be? 7-10 this year?
Yeah.
So that's where I think they're going to sit.
I agree.
Yeah. And so we got the Las Vegas Raiders. See, they're a team that I feel like Broncos could totally overtake them. It's not like the Raiders are leaps and bounds above of them. They do have a good offense. They have good offensive weapons. Obviously, Khalil Mack, but they're not going to make the play. They're going to be the same dance every year. They're going to go on a little run, then they're going to lose a lot, and then they're going to miss the playoffs by a game. And that's what they do every year.
They don't have Khalil Mack.
Oh my God.
Hey, no,
Holy
I don't
crap.
blame you.
No, you know what it was?
They were talking about the trade yesterday.
That's what it was. I was thinking of that in my
How
head, that they were talking about it again.
how stupid do you have to be to call a team you traded the best linebacker in the league to, and now you want to trade them when they get Justin Fields to be their quarterback?
Right.
It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. But you can go have your point if you had more.
No. Literally the
Right?
reason
Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, they literally just called to get Khalil back, and then I said he was still
Yeah.
on the team. I'm not that dumb, people. Okay, but yeah, no, that's basically the thing with the Raiders. Same song and it's you go in, it's the same thing. You win some good games, and you're like, oh, look at Derek Carr. Derek Carr, low key, is a top 12 quarterback. Look what they could do, and then they never make the playoffs.
Yeah. The problem with the Raiders is they traded for Khalil Mack. They traded Khalil Mack, and then the picks they got, they tried to be smarter than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Oh, let's look at these guys." Like, you don't draft Cleveland Farrell. Like, you just
Yeah.
don't, and he's
Yeah.
not good. And they've proven that they were incompetent in that whole draft process because they didn't hit on those picks. Like, the best player they got in that draft, I think, had to have been Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
He's the
And
only
it's
guy
like,
that's really
wow.
starting for them. You want to? Yeah, so like, Hunter Renfro was their best pick in that draft, really, and they haven't progressed since then. And you know, it's the same offense, that Jack Del Rio left, in my opinion. It's it's Henry Ruggs, Derek Carr, a good, not a good, a terrible offensive line. They actually got rid of their whole starting offensive line from last year, so they're kind of in that twilight zone of the Broncos. And I think the Broncos can overtake them easily. Like you said, they're just a quarterback away, and the Raiders are way more than a quarterback away.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the draft too, because it's whenever teams try to be like, oh, we're going to be the team that goes off the board, it never works out. Just stop trying to be all smart and cute. Pick the player that's on the list. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Listen to your scouts and all these teams. And that's when Gruden came in too. And he wanted to make his stamp like, oh, I'm John Gruden. I'm still smart after 10 years. Not so fast, and that. What I will say about the Raiders, I do like their running game with Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, who was just added this offseason. So that's two starting running backs on one team. That will help them out a lot. But now let's move on to the LA Chargers. This team, I'm telling you, I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but they're going to be right there with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're one of the favorite off seasons I've ever seen. They're one of the best built teams that hasn't gotten enough credit over the last few years because they've been brought down by their quarterback play. Phillip Rivers held back this roster for the final 2 or 3 years that he was there. Last year, it was a transition year. Anthony Lynn held them back. And now Justin Herbert, year 2, they have loaded him up with a perfect offensive line through free agency and through the draft. I think 3/5 of their offensive line is new and improved. One of them from the Steelers, one in the draft. I think 1 or 2 in the draft. And then one was the center for Aaron Rodgers and then a guard for Pittsburgh. So if you're the center for Aaron Rodgers and a guard on Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh every year is a top 5 O-line, no matter who they have. So those are guys you're bringing in with experience. And then obviously, not obviously, but one of either the second or the third best offensive lineman on the other side. I think it was Rashawn Slater is who the Chargers got. So they loaded up there. So if you're protecting Herbert, who already last year had a historic season for a rookie, you've got your running backs, you've got your receiver. This team's loaded up. And then you look at defense, and finally, Derwin James, knock on wood, is going to play this season. They haven't even really got to see him yet. Then you're going to have Bosa back. This team, man, if they fully figure out who they are, I think their defense could be better than Kansas City's, and their offense can keep up with Kansas City. I mean, it can keep up. I don't think it'll be better, but it can keep up head to head. This is going to be fun, them and the Chiefs.
Listen, I agree with you 100%. Justin Herbert has been, the best quarterback out of that draft class. And, a lot of people didn't see that happening because, Oregon, it's kind of, built to make you look good. I mean, we saw that with Marcus Mariota. But Justin Herbert came in the league and he took it by storm. He was throwing touchdowns left and right last year, and he's really built to last. So I think they'll easily go head to head with Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City will probably most likely have the better coaching and obviously the better quarterback in Mahomes, and they have better skill players too. But they can keep up with them. But that defense is going to carry them a lot this year because that defense is stifling, and they have Asante Samuel too, who's also from FSU. So
Mhm.
we know they build good cornerbacks there from up there in Tallahassee. As much as I hate to say it, but him and Derwin are going to be good back there. Joey Bosa, as you mentioned, they're poised to make a huge leap this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. They're going to be one of those teams that when I'm watching Red Zone, I'm going to be waiting for their 4 o'clock games. And what will interest me with them is now that I think there's fans in LA, unless they're back to doing whatever they're doing. It will be interesting who will be filling up that stadium. Is it going to be predominantly because that's going to impact things too for them. They're definitely the second most popular team in LA. So are they going to be filled with their own fans, or is it going to be 50% Chiefs? That's going to honestly really heavily impact things.
Yeah, and they're only they're the second NFL team in the league, like in their
Yeah,
own city. They're not the second even most popular team in the city.
right.
They got the Lakers, the Dodgers, and the Clippers there too. So I mean, it's a lot going on in LA right now. It's the mecca right now for star athletes. I mean, you can put a whole top 25 athletes together from the city of LA right now.
Yeah, literally. I mean, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Matthew
That's just
Stafford. I mean, it's
yeah,
pretty
man.
crazy.
LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony
Paul,
Davis.
yeah, Paul George. No, hey, I'm clutch, Paul George. May I say? My God, they should trade him, man. I don't know what they're doing, but
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, and listen, do we even really have to talk about the Chiefs? They didn't really do much in the offseason. They're pretty
They
much the same team.
they they
Oh no, I'm
rebuilt the
wrong. They're
entire
the
offensive
offensive
line.
line. Yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah,
Yeah. It's hard to that's easy to overlook because it was so early in the offseason.
right.
But
Yeah, no, it
it's
was Thuney, and
insane.
then yeah, that they loaded up on O line.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're going to be just as good as they are, but with a better offensive line. So it really also depends on their defense. Their defense hasn't gotten much better. Um, they are a liability sometimes at times, but Tyrann Mathieu has been anchoring that defense. So we'll see with them. But I mean, obviously they're favorites to even go to the Super Bowl again. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't like rematches, but I would like to see this rematch between Mahomes
yeah,
and Brady again. I think it'd be very cool.
yes.
Obviously, they're the team everyone's going to be going for in the AFC, so we're going to look out for that. All right, let's go to the AFC North. Cincinnati. Listen, their draft choice, I don't get it. Listen, I love getting receivers. I love the idea of it. They were buddies at LSU, him and Jamar Chase. Get the O lineman. I mean, listen, I retweeted on Strictly Sports a million times the meme of Joe Burrow's scar and them getting a receiver. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he literally tore his ACL the first year you're there. You got that scare and you still don't go protect him. I don't understand it. It just shows why Cincinnati, they don't win.
Yeah, yeah, it's a terrible run franchise. I mean, they don't even have an indoor facility for first of all. Um, but yeah, it's a terrible choice, and their star receiver they drafted can't catch footballs, and he's got more hands on, as in fighting hands, than catching hands, because we're 2 preseason games in, and he already has allegations that he hit his pregnant girlfriend.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I mean, what are you doing? You got to know these issues. You spend a lot of time in the draft process, unless they're just totally and we're ignorant about it. They're all it's Joe Burrow's friend. Let's draft him, which is very possible in Cincinnati. But you go through a lot of a draft process with these guys, and you got to know the character. I mean, you does this guy look like someone who would put us in a situation off the field to where he can't play for us? So we have to get rid of those things. And he also, I mean, he's not catching footballs right now from whoever is throwing the ball out there in Cincinnati right now. But they definitely should have went Penei Sewell to protect Joe Burrow, because that's your franchise. Your franchise is Joe Burrow. You know, I hate to sound like Colin Cowherd, but you got to protect him. All this icing is not worried. You're not worried about the icing. You're about the fact is the cake. You know, you don't need Jamar Chase to be the icing. There's plenty more receivers that could do that job. You have T. Higgins on the roster that you drafted last season. Why?
Yeah.
And Tyler Boyd. Why are you drafting a slot receiver? It makes no sense. But I mean, that's Cincinnati for you, and I hope Joe Burrow can find a way to narrative there, because I hope he has a good NFL career. But as we've seen with careers before, Carson Palmer, it doesn't really pan out there in Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you 100%. Cincinnati continuing their ways. Now for the rest of these teams, I'm going to go with my projected third place team. I think it's going to be the Steelers. They regressed a little bit on O-line, although with them, I feel like it's more structure at offensive line. It's kind of, okay, some guys might leave, but it's Mike Tomlin. He's been here for years. It's the system that works.
Yeah.
Same thing with defense. They'll lose guys, but it's the Steelers. They always plug and place. They know how to draft, everything like that. But I think for me, Ben's limited. It showed in the playoffs, showed in the final 8 weeks. And listen, I love Najee Harris. I think that's a great draft pick. He was fantastic at Alabama, and it brings back that element of the offense that, let's just be honest, that they haven't really had since Le'Veon left. James Conner did a good job for a year or two where he could keep up the production in a way, but he wasn't the same presence as Le'Veon. If Najee comes in here and he's the best rookie out of the running back draft class, that's a big deal for Pittsburgh, and it could really help them. But the problem is, you look at the rest of the division. Baltimore has J.K. Dobbins, and Cleveland, they have 2 running backs, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. When you're going against the teams that are better than you and they can arguably outrun you, does it matter that you have Najee Harris? Does it cancel it out? And so what you have to look at, to me, is what are the strengths and weaknesses of the Browns and the Ravens? Offensive line is pretty set for Cleveland. They've done a beautiful job at adding to that offensive line over the last 2 off seasons. Baltimore, they're always set structurally, not just on offense, but on defense. They gave weapons to Lamar. I just think Cleveland and Baltimore, those 2 teams are so close to each other, and then Pittsburgh's just lower. And I think Pittsburgh's going to have to do a little bit more than those 2 teams if they want to stay at their level, because I just think Baltimore and Cleveland are going to be neck and neck the whole year. And to be honest, I can't even give a definitive first place between those 2. But what I can say is that Pittsburgh will be the third place team there.
I agree with Pittsburgh there at 3. Like you said, they have a great defense. Minka and T.J. Watt. I mean that, and their front 7 is also very good there. And I think it's really Ben that's going to hold them back. Obviously, he's old as hell. He's not as mobile as he once was. He can't get out of the pocket, and their offensive line is kind of rebuilt. So we'll see if he's able to even stay upright this season. But Najee Harris is a great pick. Is a pick I wish my Dolphins would have made. Because a solid run game definitely takes a lot of the pressure off of Ben, and it would have take off of any quarterback. So they draft well. They do everything right. It just comes down to the other 2 teams have way more talent than them, and it sucks because their defense is so good, and they're probably going to be one of the top 3 defense in the league this year. They were last year. So I mean, again, they started 7-0 last year, but we saw it's not sustainable because that offense, because Big Ben's the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when that season started last year and they went on that big run, I jumped on the bandwagon too. I mean, I was one of them that was like, look at Ben. Doesn't matter who he's throwing to. He's got 5 targets and it's a system and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then everyone figured it out and it crumbled down. So Pittsburgh in third, but who do you think between Cleveland and Baltimore? I just think they're so neck and neck. Baker and Lamar have won a division. So that's usually where I draw the line. It's like, okay, well, who won a division? Wait, Baker won a division, correct? It was last year.
I think they won the division last year.
Yeah, they won the division last year. So, wait, no, they didn't.
No,
they went to Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So no,
Baltimore won.
Yeah, Baltimore's won a division. So I look at Lamar there and I say, okay, he knows how to do that. Baker knows how to get to the playoffs, but division he hasn't done yet. So it's to me, it's that close that I got to split that hair. And I think Baltimore will win the division, but it's so neck because Cleveland's offense, Odell, Jarvis Landry, 2 running backs, 3 tight ends, arguably a top 5 O-line. They upgraded its secondary with corner and safety. So I love what Cleveland's doing, but then Baltimore, they have all those same elements, and Lamar brings that dynamic ability. And now that monkey's off his back. I can't. I've said it for 2 years. I was the guy on every show. Oh, he doesn't want a playoff game. He hasn't done shit in the playoff. Blah blah blah. Nobody can say that about him anymore. And Lamar is here to win. Period. And I think he's going to be so relaxed. I think they'll win the division, but it's so close.
It is really close, and I don't know if I can give you a definitive. I would lean Cleveland only because their roster is better, but it also comes down to Baker, and I think Lamar Jackson's leaps ahead of Baker Mayfield as an NFL quarterback. Yeah, I don't know there, but I don't think it really matters if either team wins the division, because I think they're both locked to make the second round of the playoffs, because unless they play each other, obviously. But Cleveland in a wild card game or Baltimore in a wild card game are usually going to win that game, as long as they're not against the Chiefs, which is they're not going to be there, or one of each other. But so for now, I guess I got to put Cleveland there only because they haven't done it yet. They have a great defensive line with Myles Garrett, headlined by Myles Garrett. They added Jadeveon Clowney, which was a weird kind of fit because he hasn't done much in the past 4 years, really. But he could be a threat there if he plays. Their offense looks great. Obviously, on paper, Odell, Jarvis, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
their offensive line is better. Njoku and Austin Hooper. Yeah.
Hey,
you can go for days.
Boy, Harrison Bryant, FAU, got a shot.
Yes, Harrison Bryant, hootie hoo. But you can go for days on offense, but it comes down to Baker, and I don't know if he's at that level yet in his career. It's his third year, so I don't think if he can get there. I don't know if it's right now, but I think he'll need another year to get that. To get under his belt, to get another year under his belt to really make that next step.
Yeah, and what's really interesting to me is really interesting actually is that the AFC North is going to be facing the AFC and the NFC West. Those might be the two toughest divisions to play, and your division itself. So they're basically in the three toughest divisions the whole year.
That'll be some great games going on then.
Yeah. I mean, that means you got to play Chargers, Chiefs, Rams, Seahawks. So, I mean, you get Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. You get the whole crew this year for all those teams.
You get the playoffs. It's literally the playoffs all year.
Yeah, that's intense. So some of these teams, we might get to the end of the year and you might be like, well, how are the Ravens 10-8 and win the division? That might be 10-7. How do they win the division? That's why, because I think these teams, they really are going to be beating up on each other. So that's going to be fun.
It'll be interesting to see who can stay healthy too. So
yeah.
You want to dive in more into Baltimore, or we're good?
Yeah, we're good. I will point out Matt Judon left. I was like, whoa. I mean, that's a bad guy to left.
He's in New England.
Yeah, and they replaced him with Jason Owa in the draft at 31. That was one of my favorite picks. I was like, I love when teams lose a guy in free agency and they go, okay, we're just going to replace you in the first round. I love when that shit happens. So good job on Baltimore there.
It's a great pick.
And by the way, Rashad Bateman, I love that pick too from them.
It gets Lamar finally some help at receiver. He's got him and Hollywood Brown.
And they added Sammy Watkins as well.
And they have Mark Andrews, so they'll look good.
Yeah, no, it's a crew over there. So, hey, time for your division, Mark. We got let's just talk about the Jets first, okay? Conversation over their last place. All right, let's move on to the next team. Let's talk about the New England Patriots. What do you think about them this year?
First of all, the Jets, last place, but Zach Wilson will make them look a lot better, but I think they're last place, obviously, so we don't have to really touch it. But the Patriots, man, fuck is what I have to say. Just because, they're still a joke because Cam Newton's still on the roster. Because why even entertain it? Because he can't throw the football anymore. And I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but he can't throw the football. So how are you expecting to compete in the division when you can't do that? Is what I'm saying. But their defense is, they got all their guys from COVID back. They spent the most money in free agency ever. They got 2 tight ends which they had 0. In is Delaney Walker one of them? Is it Walker or is it what's his name?
I believe so. Yeah, I gotta look once. I got it in my notes.
No, I feel like it's the guy from. It's Hunter Henry and what's the fucking guy? Watson.
No, they got Jonnu Smith, but he's not the
Jonnu
guy you're
Smith.
talking about.
Yeah, it
No,
is.
but they got. Oh, it is.
Jonnu Smith
Okay.
and Hunter Henry.
Yeah, they got
Spent a
him,
lot
and
of
then they
money on those
got
two guys.
they got Judon, Jalen Mills from Philly was great. Devon Godchow, Kendrick Bourne for receiver, Nelson Aguilar. They loaded up.
They loaded up with some some B to C list guys, but those guys are the ones that produce in Bill Belichick's offense and his defense. So so yeah, I mean Josh McDaniels figure out what to do there with the offense. Mac Jones, um, like you said, he does the Brady thing. He comes in there, he makes the throws. He makes good reads. He's been coached by the two best coaches in football history. If you're not and like without Don Shula in there, you got Belichick and Nick Saban. So, I mean, I think he'll be able to figure it out. He's a smart kid. I hope defenses can get to him because that ball will be out quick. Cam Newton's really just wasting their time there. I don't think he'll start week 1 since now this 5-day period, he has to wait because he came into contact with someone with COVID. But I think Mac Jones will week 1 starter there against Miami, and I think it's a hell of a game with the two Alabama head to head.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on the Cam thing, and thank you for pointing that out because nobody wants to say it on any of these TV shows. Cam cannot throw, dude. I mean, seriously, like we need to get over the Cam thing because it's over. I mean, respect to him. He was amazing when he was amazing, but he got injured. It's not, nobody's trying to insult Cam. Nobody's trying to get him out of the NFL. It's just Cam is not who he used to be, period. I mean, it's just the eye test. I mean, he cannot throw the ball like he could when he won the MVP and went to the Super Bowl of Carolina. So it's sad. I don't like saying it. I mean, you wish this guy would be in the league for another 10 years, but he got injured bad. He was hit hard in Carolina, which, by the way, is another reason why Cincinnati, what the hell are you doing? You ending Joe's career early. But yeah, I don't get
played,
that. Yeah, and another point about New England, Sony Michel was traded this morning to the Rams. So they are losing their running game to an extent. But New England, I mean, dude, they found Rex Burkhead. So nobody knew who Rex Burkhead was. Nobody knew who these guys were. And then they all turned into good running backs. They know who to circulate in and out. And then one last tidbit. I can't believe I forgot to say this when we were going over Cleveland, but they also added Jadeveon Clowney to their defense. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's my bad. No, that's a great addition too for Cleveland.
It's a weird addition. Hasn't been good, but he should be good on the other side of Garrett. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Him if he's rushing the edge.
Yeah, but I really do feel like with some Dolphins luck, Kyle Van Noy is going to go back to New England and absolutely dominate the Dolphins.
Kyle Van Noy is cheeks. Kyle Van Noy is cheeks, and that's all I have to say about him.
Hey, respect. Hey, I'll give you your word on that. So we'll move on to your team because they finished in second place last year. We're going in order of last year. Hey, I like them a lot. I love what they did with receiver, Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller. That's great. I like seeing that. I think their defense is top 5 in the NFL or can be. Listen, people are severely underrating it. I think it really can be, especially with their coaching, can be a top 5 defense in the NFL. They were last year. I don't see why a lot of teams, I've seen them ranked very high, high meaning in the teens. It's like, why? They were really good last year. Why are we automatically discounting them going into this year? Now, I have seen that their offensive line, it's going to be a little bit of an issue. It's going to be a work in progress. Listen, if that's your weakness, yes, that's a little bit of a problem, especially when you got New England coming into town twice a year, Buffalo coming into town. It will be an issue. But listen, Tua is a guy who can move. If there's any guy that, hey, he's not protected a lot, at least there's Tua who can maybe get out of the pocket because he's a little bit of a quicker guy, but also his decision-making has been a problem in the past. So if you're rushing his decision-making even by seconds, how is that going to impact Tua? But listen, we've had these debates in chat, Mark, a billion times with CJ. He's adamant about it. CJ, Tua gets a bad rap in the media. He hasn't gotten a fair chance. I'm with that, but I'm also on the side that he might not be as good as he was hyped up to be. This is the season that it's going to be where we see, is this the truth? And listen, if this Deshaun things get cleared, they can have an easy out and say, hey, Houston, give me Deshaun, here's Tua and picks, and problem solved. I think the Dolphins do have an out in that scenario, but I'm not going to give it an opinion on one side or another on Tua. I don't want to be that guy that flip-flops. I think, yes, he has not gotten a fair shake in the NFL, but also I've watched him, and eye test wise, I'm kind of like, a little tiny, kind of a chicken arm, but let's see what he can do in the NFL in a full season with these weapons. This is where we're going to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make some fair points, and to go to the easy out, I think that could be up. Deshaun Watson could be easy out, but I would even put Green Bay in there because that team can win.
Yeah.
I would even put Aaron Rodgers. That's what I've said. I said if Tua is clearly, if he's average and he's clearly not the guy to get you to that next level, the window for the Dolphins is now. So I think Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun would have to be the move then after the season. But the way Tua has been playing this preseason and through camp, I went and saw him actually in person. He's looked very good. He looks confident. He looks poised. He's eased into it. You're thrown out there. He played 9 games last year, and people say he played terrible. He went 6-3 in 9 games.
Yeah.
You go 6-3. No one I don't understand. They gave Sam Darnold 3 years, but Tua Tagovailoa gets 9 games and he wins 6 of them. But he's not, and he's shit. And the whole media is shitting on him all offseason, and it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, so what if he's a game manager? That's what Teddy Bridgewater's been his whole career. You're winning games. But you're not going to win a Super Bowl with that. But you can't give him, in your first 9 games a fair assessment. And your fair assessment can't be he's shit when he wins almost 60% of his games. It just doesn't make. But not almost above. But I mean, the defense looks very good. The one thing I would pick on against for the defense is their run defense, the ability to stop the run. They got to get downhill more. Their secondary is loaded. It would be even more loaded if Minka Fitzpatrick didn't request a trade. That turned into Austin Jackson, who is a problem at left tackle for them right now. He hasn't been the best. He's not what they hoped he would be, but they drafted Liam Eichenberg this year. He looks really good right now. He had a pretty good week 2 in preseason. They might look to move him to left tackle, but he looks like he's the starting left guard as of now. At center, it's what's his name? Well, I can't remember his name. Michael Dieter. Michael Dieter's a starting center over Matt Skura, who they just signed from Baltimore as of now. But it all matters. It's all on Tua. The receiving core is insane now. You got Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, if healthy, is insane. That's the fastest offense in the league, fastest receiver core in the league if they're healthy. Jakeem Grant's on that. Although I hope he's not there by then. Adrian Wilson. Yeah, I mean they're gonna look good. It all depends on Tua. And we saw in that second game of the preseason, in both games, he's looked great. He made a terrible read on that last throw against Chicago, where he had a wide open Matt Collins. I think it was it was Adam Shaheen. Wide open Adam Shaheen and threw the ball late. It was a pick. But and that second game against Atlanta, man, he made some big throws. He stepped up in the pocket, made some big throws. He was able to overcome the incompetence of his offensive line at times. Make plays with his feet, extend plays, which is what you want to see from a guy that's 6 foot. He's a small guy. If you can't make plays with your feet and you're that height, you're not going to have a shelf life in the NFL here. So I mean, all signs point to them being very good this year. Do I think they can win the AFC East? It'll be hard. We'll need Buffalo to to lose a lot of games, to lose a couple big games. But if they split with Buffalo, I give them a chance to win the division.
Yeah, no, it's possible. I mean, they're going to be right there. Again, don't rule New England out. They're not going anywhere. But I'm with you on the Miami thing. But to me, are they at a point in their development where it's playoffs or bust? Because you do look at this overall roster.
Well, it depends on Tua.
Right. So that's the thing. So that's why I don't think you can ask that question. Although if they don't make the playoffs, it's very disappointing.
I think they are.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't even think you'd have to give up Tua to get Aaron Rodgers. So I think that would. Yeah, and if Tua isn't the guy after the season, you could have that, like you said, with Watson. But I don't even think you'd have to trade Tua to get Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay. I think if you wanted to go get Rodgers and ride the last 2 years of his career out and let him take you, to wherever he's going to take you, I think you can make that a possibility with Tua on the bench. I think Tua would be his going to his 5th year he'd be a starter, I guess, again if Aaron Rodgers would have 2 years. But that's what Aaron Rodgers did with Brett Favre. If he misses the first 4 years of his career. So I mean, I think that would even be a kind of a bailout situation. Although I think they would probably just try to trade Tua and get some picks. But I think that would be a possible situation because he seems like a team first kind of guy. So I mean, maybe, but I don't know. But I think Tua is the answer of now until proves otherwise.
No, that Aaron Rodgers idea is, I mean, it makes a ton of sense, like you said, because they don't have to give up the quarterback. Everyone thinks, oh, you got to find a team maybe that they could swap quarterbacks, and that's how it works. No, I mean, that would be a perfect scenario for Miami because then you hold all the cards. You get Aaron Rodgers in, boom, there you go, your division favorites, and then you can do whatever you want with Tua. Like you said, hold on to him, see what you have. Maybe as a guy, maybe they bring him in like the Saints bring in Taysom Hill, right, to do a little wacky play and then leave. That might be something that Tua could do. Probably not, but it's something that maybe they can keep him around for just for special plays and stuff like that. But it would be probably best trade him, get some picks in addition to the Aaron Rodgers return. Yeah. So I agree with you there. And then the Buffalo, yeah, they're going to win the division. I mean, most likely. There's definitely room for failure. Josh Allen, I'm not going to hold him on this pedestal. It's 1 year. I like to see every athlete that I watch do it twice. I like that he went into the playoffs and showed it there too. But I'm not just going to say, big contract, did well in the playoffs, won a division. He's automatically up here. No, you got to do it twice. You got to even do it 3 times to me. That's my policy in baseball too. When I analyze players, it's like not one time. You could be a lightning in a bottle. You're done. I want to see it done again. So Josh Allen's not some secure asset.
I agree with you. I think I've liked Josh Allen as a prospect since he was at Wyoming.
Oh yeah, he's great. I'm just saying, is he that good?
I was looking at him for the Dolphins like a year and a half before he was even like a year before he played his last year in Wyoming. So I guess his junior year. I don't know if he played all 4, but his junior year, I guess. I was looking at him. I was like, damn, this kid. He's big. He could run. He could heave this football, man. He could throw it. It ended up going to the perfect spot in Buffalo because it's the same weather as Wyoming. So I mean, and he has developed his game to where accuracy was a problem, and decision making was an issue. But last year we saw him not make big. He didn't make a lot of bad throws. He didn't make a lot of bad decisions last year, and to prove on that, it's going to be hell to be in my fucking division because I already had 20 years of Tom Brady. I don't want to deal with another 20 of fucking Josh Allen. So, I mean, there's definitely error for them. Again, like I said, if the Dolphins can split with them, they could give them a run for the money for the division just because Buffalo probably has a very hard schedule. But other than that, Buffalo is, as of now, my favorite to win the division. Yeah.
Hey, at least we don't have a crazy rabid Dolphins fan that gives crazy takes. I don't know one that's ever been on this show, CJ, but hey, you're a realistic Dolphins fan. I appreciate that.
Of course. That's what we try to do here.
All kidding aside, by the way,
try to keep the bias aside. But I mean, again, I can go all day with the Dolphins. I could tell you everything about their roster right now, but we gotta hit every division before we keep freezing again.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we've had 3. If you've heard some wonky stuff during the pod, that's why. Our connection's frozen like 3 times, and we've had to recall on Zoom. So if you've heard what was that interruption there, that's why. But honestly, Mark, we were gonna do AFC and NFC today, but it's already been, I think, an hour and 20-minute long pod for just the AFC. So I think we should probably split these up into 2 and do NFC for next pod. And we were going to fit baseball in today too, but we don't want to do like a 2-hour pod. We'll lose listeners. So, hey,
I mean, I'm down.
This is great. Yeah. Hey, we'll do NFC in a few days. Yeah, we'll do that soon. And my Giants, I don't know. I'm still, listen, with my own team, I don't even know what to say.
Let's do the NFC Beast first. We could do the NFC Beast real quick. Let me hear it.
Yeah.
NFC Beast, baby.
Okay, listen, you're gonna call me by it. I mean, it's coming,
dude.
so
It's the worst division in football. I'm not gonna tell
that's
you
why,
the
right?
Giants can't win the division because they can.
No, I think they can. Listen, I think right now I look at the Giants and they have the best total offense in the NFC East. If you look at total quality players, Saquon Barkley, I think. Now listen, well, I think the question is when he comes back, is he still Saquon Barkley? Right now, obviously, I think Zeke is up here, but I don't even know if I can say that if Zeke is better than Saquon, because when they're on the field, Saquon's the better player all day. And when they were both healthy at the same time, Saquon's been better and Zeke's been declining for the last 3 years. So I think Saquon, if he's actually the same guy, yes, he's better than Zeke right now. Let's just say same level. So they cancel each other out. Now you look at offensive lines. The Giants and the Cowboys, they don't have special offensive lines, but I think the Giants have done things to build it. They drafted at left tackle with Andrew Thomas. They have Nate Solder, who went from left to right tackle. We didn't get to see that experiment play out last year because he sat out with COVID. So can he transfer from left to right tackle? You have Will Hernandez at guard, which I really like, but they really struggle at the other guard position and at center. They're going to have to figure out that stuff as the season goes along. But what they did was they got a guy like Kyle Rudolph who can go in and block. They have a Pro Bowl tight end in Evan Ingram. Receiving wise, now you have Kenny Golladay, who's the clear number one. And then you have Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. That's 4 legitimate receivers, 2 legitimate tight ends, Saquon. And then you get to Daniel Jones, right? So whereas before it was, well, it's Daniel Jones's team. He's got to figure this out. I think the Giants know he can't do that. He's not the quarterback that can do that at all. He's got to be surrounded. And so this is Daniel Jones' last chance. What else can you do? You've got a generational running back. You've got an O-line that can do enough to protect. Is it stellar? No, but I think it can be enough to piece it together. And then those offensive weapons, again, 4 receivers, 3 tight ends. What are you going to do, Daniel Jones? I mean, this is your year. And I look at Dallas and it's like Amari and CeeDee are great, but I think the Giants win out at tight end. I think they're better receiver depth wise. And I could even argue, is Kenny Golladay better than Amari Cooper? Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, don't say that. Well, you can't say it. Not so fast, man. Kenny might have had a better year than Amari last year. I'll debate that for an hour. But CeeDee Lamb, outside of him, the Giants have 3 guys that are at CeeDee Lamb's level. So don't give me.
They have Michael Gallup too.
Yeah, but like Sterling Shepard's Michael Gallup, or better than Michael Gallup, I would say. I mean, so I look at it and it's like offensive weapon wise, the Giants are there. The Giants have upgraded a corner, and I love what they're James Bradbury upgraded out there. They drafted one. And I like Dexter Lawrence has been always good. Leonard Williams, they locked up contract wise. So I like what they're doing. I'm not saying they're the best team in the world, but at least you can look at, okay, defense, we have a weapon. Corner, we have a weapon. Jabril Peppers as well, by the way. Running back, we have a weapon. Wide receiver. So each big position has a star. The only thing I'm on the fence with is Joe Judge, because I just don't like him. I don't like his attitude. The thing he did with making the players run fucking suicide. What are you, the fucking Miracle on Ice coach? Like, get over yourself. He's like a Bill Belichick wannabe, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Like, don't act like Bill Belichick until you win a playoff game, okay? Yeah. Like, get out of here. Stop being like, oh, we're serious around here. We have serious practices, and I'm going to make the players accountable. Those players are looking at him like, you're a goofball, man, okay?
I'll tell you what my take as an outsider.
Okay.
On the Joe Judge thing, I think that kind of comes from our family.
From what?
From the Mara family. I think his higher ups are telling him, I don't want these players, because I mean, as we know, John Mara, I think it's John Mara.
Yeah,
the son. He's junior, I think, something like that. But he's the reason why the whole taunting is a flag now. He went to the officiating, and he threw a fit about it, and the owner and Commissioner fucking Goodell granted it. So now that's a rule. I mean, he doesn't want them having fun. Apparently, he doesn't want to. Like, who doesn't want taunting, bro? So I mean, I feel like they're kind of trying to run it like an old-fashioned, football team, man. It's a little weird, but especially in today's time, and that's why it might not work. We saw some players retire. We saw players come and say they were pissed about it. What Joe Judge did. But I think you're right. I think you're a lot closer than everyone thinks, especially when it comes to winning the division, because it really just comes down to Dak Prescott's health and Mike McCarthy's competence to coach. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick is on a great roster in Washington, but he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So you're really in the best spot to win a division. But again, it comes down to Daniel Jones, and if Daniel Jones is terrible this year, which I think he shouldn't be because he has a great offense, I think Aaron Rodgers that's a huge, spot for him as well. Like I would love him to be the bailout for the Dolphins, but if they don't need that, I want Aaron Rodgers to be a New York Jet.
Hey, don't put that thought in my head, man. It's getting me too excited.
Dude, it's not far off. Like,
no,
it really
not.
isn't, because this is his last year there. Even if he wins the Super Bowl, he's done. Like,
yeah.
And do I think they would trade him to the Giants? No, but I think you'd have to if they're giving you the most return.
I mean, that would be amazing if it happens. And honestly, it makes me kind of want to root against Daniel Jones so that can happen. But hey, listen, it's the first time in like 6 years that I've gone into a Giants season saying they can make the playoffs. So
they can, of course.
They can.
They could have made it last year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the 6-10 Giants, 6 and whatever Giants could have made the playoffs. Yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, man. I mean, we'll see about that division. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, like that whole Joe Judge, like X's and O's, 100% effort, never be rude. Fucking, it's like you've got 30-year-olds in that locker room that are like, dude, seriously, you're acting like a high school football coach. Like, get out of here. Yeah.
That's not a good look.
Yeah, no, it's not. So, yeah, we'll do the rest of the NFC on the next pod, and we'll probably just do NFC East again on the next pod. Why not? But yeah, that'll do it for this one. We will we're kind of thinking about reformatting the pod. So we're going to do a baseball related pod at some point. I don't know if it's going to be on strictly baseball or if it's just going to be a strictly sports episode, but baseball's coming. It's September. It's go time. Playoff races are heating up. It's going to be a lot of fun. The NHL is going to start up in September as well, with training camp right towards the end, and then regular season in the beginning of October. Basketball, I know you like basketball, and I like basketball too. I just don't like talking about it anymore. Like, I just don't like the players, so we're not going to talk much about that. And then college football, we're going to do an FAU football pod and mix that in with all of college football in general. And if you're wondering where CJ and Steve are, they're busy, man. I mean, they've got real jobs. They're out there in the workforce. Steve's he just got an intern. Actually, I'll let him tell everyone that when he comes on the pod. That's his news to share. And CJ's working hard as well. So whenever they can be on, they'll be on. But hey, Mark, we're having fun, just us. This is how we do it. It's Strictly Sports, and we'll be back soon. So follow us on Twitter at Strictly Sports P, on Facebook and Instagram at Strictly Sports Productions. And then look us up on YouTube at Strictly Sports Productions. All 5 of our podcasts are listed on there. You can find them in the playlist section on YouTube. So one last thing, if you are an FAU student and you're interested in broadcasting games, maybe getting your own sports show, or hey, maybe taking my job when I graduate in 3 months, come to the FAU iHeartRadio, actually FAU Student Media Open House, September 3rd, second floor of the Student Union. I'll be there. The heads of OWL TV and the University Press will be there. And for any FAU students that are interested in any of those 3 things, please go. I'll be there. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of information for people that are curious. So go check that out. So for Mark Papaleo, I am Jacob Brown. Oh, wait.
One last thing. Okay. The Yankees are fucking streaking 11 in a row.
Let's go, baby.
Bronx, baby.
Number 28.
Hey, the road to 28, baby. Let's get it.
We got it. We'll see you next time, guys.